Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In fact, double Vulcan roll for everybody because today I am doubly excited. Why? Because today, Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 22, Space Seed. Friends, for those of you that don't know, before I started watching all of these things and beginning to kind of make myself a better Star Trek fan, my only experience with the original crew was the movies. And of those movies, I started with The Wrath of Khan. Still haven't seen the motion picture. Everything I knew about Star Trek hinged in my love for it was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I have never seen Space Seed. This is my one and only chance to be able to see Khan and James T. Kirk in the same shot. I can't wait to see this, my friends. I am super. When I started this, I only knew of a couple episodes of the original series, and I hadn't seen them. I knew them by name, and Space Seed is one of them. And I knew that was Khan's episode. I cannot wait for this. My friends, if you do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. You'll be alerted next time we go live with any original series, any Star Trek, any sci-fi, you'll be made aware. And of course, if you'd like that early or in its full-length format, the link to the Patreon is in the description. And of course, if you'd rather just join us over here on YouTube, you can. I try to upload all videos at least 24 hours early, plus you get access to some special episodes like Expanse case files and the soon-to-come-out character analysis for the Star Trek crew, the original series crew. But my friends, all that is then. This is now. And what is now? Now is something that is decades in the making. Now it's time for me to see Kirk v. Khan, the original. And I can't wait. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go. Look at that beauty. Woo. Woo. So fucking pumped.
I thought you said it couldn't possibly be an Earth vessel.
I understand why it always gives you pleasure to see me proven wrong.
Earth weakness of mine. There it is.
I know what that is.
The last such vessel was built centuries ago, back in the 1990s.
Then it's a derelict. Its signal left on automatic.
Or an old Earth ship being used by aliens.
Huh.
Bioscanners report.
Life science bioscanners are picking up heartbeats from over there. Can't be human, though. They're too faint and average, only 4 beats per minute.
I love that Bones is the one that give the medical scan. Oh, I love it. Look at that shot. The Enterprise is alive. When he gives commands, she reacts. I'm so fucking pumped. All right, Jim's going to tell us how great the Final Frontier is, so we got a chance to talk here. Oh my God, friends. I am embarrassed about how excited I am. I have literally been waiting to get to this episode and experience some of the greatest television I've ever seen in the journey just to get here. Unfortunately, like in my research for Q&A and things like that, I kind of stumble, especially earlier on, I stumbled upon like, top 5 lists, top 3 lists of the different people. And I've tried to avoid those since then. Space Seed is usually on the top 5 list, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's something that, is a great episode or if it's just great because Khan's in it. I don't care. Let's go. Space Seed.
Weapons department. Maintain battle stations. All of the decks, stand by alert.
There's Bones.
Seems to be coming from about 60 or 70 bodies, as near as I can make out.
Alien bodies, Bill?
Could be. There's no sign of breathing or any other form of respiration.
No breathing.
SS Botany Bay.
Then you can check the registry.
Botany Bay? Oh, no.
The mid-1990s was the era of your last so-called World War.
Eugenics wars.
Of course, your attempt to improve the race through selective breeding.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Not our attempt, Mr. Spock. A group of ambitious scientists. I'm sure you know the type. devoted to logic, completely unemotional.
Doctor, I would be
All right,
pleased.
all right.
And, right. Jim, stop this. No Sulu. I'm upset.
Oh, I'll need somebody familiar with the late 20th century Earth. Here's a chance for that historian to do something for a change. What's her name? McGivers?
Lieutenant MacGyver's.
Lieutenant MacGyver's, late 20th century.
Following personnel report to transporter room. Engineering Officer Scott, Lieutenant MacGyver's. Acknowledge.
Well, she was just getting ready to do some painting.
My way.
You think she'd be more excited? Rarely does a late 20th century expert get called to the away team.
You ready, Bones?
No. Signed aboard this ship to practice medicine, not to have my atoms scattered back and forth across space by this gad.
Well, come on, Lieutenant.
MacGyver, sir.
Oh, Scotty going. Okay, these are the pods. All the super soldiers. Oh, shit, this is cool as fuck. Oh my God. I apologize. I'm going to cuss a lot in this episode. I don't really mean to.
Old type atomic power. Bulky, solid. I think they used to call them transistor units.
Huh.
Love to tear this baby apart.
Still working.
I've seen no photographs of this. Necessary because of the time involved in space travel until about the year 2018. It took years just to travel from one planet to another.
Unfortunately.
I've never heard of it being tested for this long a period.
Wow, Scotty got the lights back on.
Beats me what's happening.
We've triggered something, all right. Heartbeat's increasing.
Con!
This one was probably programmed to be triggered first.
Could he be the leader?
Did you shut the rest of them down?
Lieutenant.
She has to know who he is.
A man from the 20th century coming alive.
Lady, heartbeat dropping.
Circuit shortly. Probably some dust.
Heartbeat now 30, dropping fast.
Oh boy. Get it open.
What happens if we get him out of there?
We'll die in seconds if we don't.
Wow, yeah, that's Jim said, we're just gonna bust it. She has to know who he is. She has to know who he is. Oh, cool. My man's wearing the Zardoz alternate cover. How long?
How long? Have you been sleeping? 2 centuries, we estimate.
Dear God.
Lock in on Dr. McCoy's beam. He's transporting back with a casualty we discovered here.
Magnificent.
Calm down, MacGyvers.
Alongside the SS Botany Bay for 10 hours now.
The Botany Bay looks like it's out of the Firefly universe.
How many alive?
12 units have malfunctioned, leaving 72 still operating.
72.
72 alive.
Amazing.
And why no record of the trip?
Botany Bay.
Botany Bay.
The name of a penal colony on the shores of Australia, wasn't it?
Oh, no.
If they took that name for their vessel,
If you're suggesting this was a penal deportation vessel,
Chekhov's not here.
so much for my theory. I'm still waiting to hear yours.
Formulating.
even a theory requires some facts, Captain.
You got some.
I have none.
And that irritates you, Mr. Spock. You suspect some danger in them.
Insufficient facts always invites danger, Captain.
Oh, great line.
Better get some facts. Rig for towing.
Aye, sir.
Rig for towing.
That'll be all.
We haven't seen Chapel either since What Little Girls Are Made Of. What Are Little Girls Made Of?
You'll live.
My compliments.
Oh, no, I'm good, but not that good. There's something inside this man that refuses to accept death.
An improved breed of human. That's what the eugenics war was all about.
I'd estimate he could lift us both with one arm. Be interesting to see if his brain matches his body.
Careful what you wish for, Bones. Damn, MacGyvers.
Men were more adventuresome then. Bolder, more colorful.
Yes, sir, I think they were.
Good. If I can have honesty, it's easier to overlook mistakes. That's all.
Ha! Fuck me, man. It's easier to overlook mistakes. Okay.
You'd have made a fair psychologist.
Fair?
I have been incorporating the Jim Kirk strut whenever I leave or enter a room. You know, it's just the one dip of the shoulder and then you go into it. You know, for the day, Ricardo Montalban's a big dude.
Good. McCoy out.
Oh, dear God, he can fight with any of those. Oh, shit. Hell yeah. Ooh. Dear God.
Well, either choke me or cut my throat. Make up your mind. Where am I? You're in bed, holding a knife at your doctor's throat. Answer my question. It would be most effective if you would cut the carotid artery just under the left ear.
Bones is stone gold. And he just earned Khan's respect.
Like a brave man.
Fuck yeah, he does.
I remember a voice. Did I hear it say, I had been sleeping for 2 centuries? That is correct.
Wow.
Where is your captain? I have many questions.
Man, let's hear it for Bones. The sack on this guy.
Patient here with many questions, Captain.
On my way.
The first conversation between Khan and Kirk.
James Kirk, commanding the Starship Enterprise.
I see.
And your name?
I have a few questions first.
Can't tell him.
72 of your life support canisters are still functioning.
They're all there, buddy, except for, what did they say, last 12? 3 women, right?
You will revive them.
As soon as we reach Starbase 12.
I see.
And now,
Adversaries from the jump.
the facts I need, Mr. Khan, will take very little time. For example, the nature of your expedition.
Jim, a little later might be better.
Yeah, he's using you. Gosh.
I could have something to read during my convalescence. I was once an engineer of sorts.
An engineer of sorts.
Yes, I understand. You have 200 years of catching up to do.
Precisely.
Dr. McCoy will show you how to tie into the library tapes.
Thank you, Captain.
Is it just me, or does, like, Ricardo Montalban look bigger than everybody else? I know he's not, but laying in bed like that.
In 1993, a group of these young supermen did seize power simultaneously in over 40 nations.
They were aggressive, arrogant. They began to battle among themselves.
Because the scientists overlooked one fact. Superior ability breeds superior ambition.
They created a group of Alexanders, Napoleons.
They tried that on G.I. Joe with Serpentor. Didn't work either.
There were some 80 or 90 of these young supermen unaccounted for when they were finally defeated.
Boy, that's strangely close to the exact number we found in the Botany Bay.
That some 80 Napoleons might still be alive.
Great shot.
I've been reading up on starships, but they have one luxury not mentioned in the manuals.
I don't understand.
A beautiful woman. My name is Khan. Please sit and entertain me.
She has to know. Unless, in this, maybe I'm misunderstood.
And why do you wear your hair in such an uncomplimentary fashion?
It's comfortable.
But it's not attractive.
It's not attractive. Oh, I love seeing Khan like this.
I'm sure you understand to actually talk to a man of your century.
There. Simple.
I love his delivery. We got some licorice dip celery here for you.
Very impressive. Are we expecting a fleet admiral for dinner?
Lieutenant MacGyver's idea to welcome Khan to our century.
Everybody's in their dress.
Well, he has magnetism. Almost electric, you felt it. And it could overpower MacGyver's with her preoccupation with the past.
Thank you.
Look at this motherfucker.
Very good.
Look at that jacket.
Fine technique.
It's a gladiator named Flavius. He once.
And you've rearranged your hair for me.
For me. Look at this psychological horse shit, man.
Richard, Leif Erikson, Napoleon. A hobby of yours? Such men?
She has to know who he is. There he is.
I'm honored. But I caution you. Such men dare take what they want.
This is everything I've wanted. This is exactly what I thought Khan would be like. Oh my God. She's buying into this hook, line, and stinker, isn't she? I mean, to be fair, I might.
My officers are anxious to know more about your extraordinary journey.
What was that? I see blue. Is that Romulan ale?
There was little else left on Earth.
There was the war to end tyranny. Many considered that a noble effort.
Tyranny, sir? Or an attempt to unify humanity?
Unify, sir. Like a team of animals under one whip.
Ooh, here we go.
One man would have ruled eventually. As Rome under Caesar. Think of its accomplishments.
Then your sympathies were with...
You are an excellent tactician, Captain. You let your second in command attack
You observe.
and watch for weakness.
You have a tendency to express ideas in military terms.
Oh my God. Jim can match him. Oh, I love it.
Many prefer it more honest, more open.
You fled. Why? Were you afraid?
There it is. You wanted it.
We offered the world order. We...
Got what he needed from you.
Excellent. Excellent.
Oh, fuck me.
With your permission, Captain, I will return to my quarters.
Oh, the two of them. Oh my God, I love this. I love this. Well, she is smitten.
No mystery to me. I know exactly who you are.
She always has.
Then I'll have to remold it to my liking.
Please don't.
Go. Or stay, but do it because it is what you wish to do.
I only meant.
This grows tiresome. You must now ask to stay.
What?
Please.
This level of arrogance, this like, you know, thinly veiled misogyny is exactly what I expected from Khan. What in the... Look at this shit. You're gonna break her hand, dude?
Will you assist me?
Oh, please, Con, don't ask.
Leave me then.
Wow. I mean, how to make a villain.
Do anything you ask.
This has gone to Stockholm Syndrome pretty quick. Oh, I don't like stuff like this, but I like Khan. I'm conflicted.
Khan Noonien Singh.
From 1992 through 1996, absolute ruler of more than a quarter of your world.
I must confess, gentlemen, I've always held a sneaking admiration for this one.
He was the best of the tyrants.
The best. He's the best. The best of the conquerors.
Romanticism about a ruthless dictator is...
But Spock, we humans have a streak of barbarism in us.
I'm suffering from the same thing, Spock.
Mr. Spock, you misunderstand us. We can be against him and admire him all at the same time.
illogical.
Totally.
I'm falling into the same trap. Oh, they gave him a security outfit.
My door. Locked from outside, a guard posted.
Unusual treatment for Khan Noonien Singh.
Excellent.
You knew it wouldn't take long.
The purpose of your star flight.
Exile.
Other things I doubt you would understand.
Why? Because I'm not a product of controlled genetics.
Captain, although your abilities intrigue me, you are quite honestly inferior. Mentally, physically. How little man himself has changed.
So amazing.
Yes, it appears we will do well in your century, Captain.
Ooh.
Do you have any other questions?
Thank you. They've all been answered.
See, that is a great line to give somebody when you think you're playing verbal poker and you think you didn't give anything and they said you gave everything. If I was my man at that door, I would be facing it. I know that's not how you guard a door, but... Oh!
Move away.
Oh! Oh, this is my guy. Hey, chicken soup. Don't hurt him.
Authority.
Oh my God, he woke them all up.
The battle begins again. Only this time is not a world will win. It's a universe.
Just quickly blow up the botany bay.
Factor 2. Maintain.
Where's Sulu? I'm so upset.
Sound security alert.
Security alert here. Communication channels are jammed, Captain.
I think old Marla needs a court martial too.
Atmosphere controls cut off.
Oh my God, he's trying to kill everybody.
Useless. They're on override or engineering.
Engineering.
Oh, Scotty.
Captain! What's going on down there?
He's not able to answer you at the moment, Captain.
Flood all decks with neural gas.
Impossible. Intruder control systems inoperative. Mr. Khan was very thorough in his study of our tech manuals.
Ooh. Super genius speed reader.
Refuse and every person on the bridge will suffocate.
This is great.
Only moments of air left on the bridge now.
Spock continuing to work.
Commendations recommended for Lieutenant Uhura, Technicians First Class Tooley and Harrison, Lieutenant Spinelli, and of course, Mr. Spock. I take full responsibility.
Oh, Jim, you're giving out commendations with your last breath. Always the captain.
I need your training to operate a vessel this complex.
Where is Captain Kirk?
Scotty.
You are the communications officer. Engage the viewing screen, please.
Fuck yeah, Uhura. Get your hands off her, man. Get the...
No!
That was amazing. She stood up like she was gonna... Oh, I love that. Oh, that got me an incredible moment.
I'm sure you recognize your medical decompression chamber here, Doctor.
Dear God.
Your captain will die.
Well, if he does, then you don't get anything.
Each of you in turn will go in there. Die while the others watch.
Jeez.
There's no reason I must watch this, is there?
But I hoped you would be stronger.
Oh my gosh.
If any one of you joins me, anyone, I'll let him live.
You know, Spock, it's the logical thing to do.
How do I regain picture?
It does not matter.
Uhura locking eyes with him like, come on, man. I love that. Oh, it's my favorite Uhura moment. Not an ounce of fear in her gaze. Oh, God, I love that. I mean, was this a triple cross, Marla? What the hell are you doing? You're part of the heist, you just don't like your cut? It's a hell of a prop to build for this. I don't think they've used that before, have they? Spock saw him there and just kept walking.
Situation.
Khan is holding our staff in the briefing room. His men have control of the ship.
Gas all decks but this one.
Armory, this is Khan. Report.
Some shit's afoot, Khan. I love that Scotty stops to punch the guy.
Where's Tom?
I don't know. He got out just as the guy...
Aw, Scotty tried to follow. You cannot take him, Jim. Dear God. Oh, the Type 1's still there. He doesn't know about that, does he? He probably destroyed it too, but I could see the Type 1 on top. Boy, they like these close shots with stunt actors, don't they? There we go. Come on, Jim. Guy's like 10 times stronger than you. Oh, what a move. They're just not even trying to cover the fact that this is a stunt people.
I have 5 times your strength. You're no match for me.
Oh! Just don't let him take it from you, Jim. Just beat him to death. Turn around, Jim, turn around.
Control of the Enterprise has been regained. I wish my next decisions were no more difficult.
What's the dress uniform for?
What a waste to put them in a reorientation center.
No prisons, right?
This hearing is now in session.
The Honorable Jim T. Kirk presiding.
I declare all charges and specifications in this matter have been dropped.
Jim, agreed you have the authority.
Mr. Spock, I believe our heading takes us near the Ceti Alpha star system.
Quite correct, Captain. Planet number 5 there is habitable.
This is Ceti Alpha 5.
Can you tame a world?
Have you ever read Milton, Captain?
Of course he has.
I understand. Lieutenant Marla McGivers.
Former Lieutenant Marla McGivers.
Given a choice, court-martial or accompanying them.
A struggle at first, even to stay alive, to find food.
I'll go with him, sir.
Superior woman.
Superior woman. Now all of a sudden I like Khan again, after all this nonsense.
And I've gotten something else I wanted. World to win, empire to build.
I mean, it's a hell of an olive branch by Jim. Now, granted, he should have probably checked up on him.
I'm not up on Milton.
The statement Lucifer made when he fell into the pit. It is better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Would be interesting, Captain, to return to that world in 100 years and learn what crop had sprung from the seed you planted today.
Ooh, shit.
It would indeed.
Maybe even like 5 years. Save yourself a whole lot of trouble. Oh, Mark Daniels, our guy. My friends, we just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, season 1, episode 22, Space Seed. What harvest will spring from it? And my friends, the only thing we have left to do is to talk about it. All right, my friends, we just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, season 1, episode 22, Space Seed. Everything I needed it to be, my friends. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I was quiet a lot through this one because this is honest to God, it was the realization of a dream, you know, just to be able to, I've been really looking forward to seeing this one. And I don't think that it was nostalgia driven either, as far as just, you know, I'm going to enjoy this no matter what. It was really well done, really well done. And the progress of Ricardo Montalban's performance was so well. I mean, it had that level of almost like, you know, we always talk about the colloquial expression, you know, roid rage, when somebody, you know, it takes too many steroids or takes the, you know, like hormone enhancers and things like that for, like, you know, strength training, and it creates an aggression sort of thing. I was kind of thinking about that, like at times when he'd be so calm, so precise, and just like in the movie, he had these moments where he would snap and just damn you, and then he just throw somebody. He has that even innately in Space Seed. You see those moments of just like almost like raw violence, like he just needs to just lash out. You know what I mean? Whether he was gripping Marla's hand or wrist too hard and dropping her, down, just domineering, needing to like express his strength and superiority. Everything came out in that performance, which was so well done because honestly, a lot of it is incredibly uncomfortable to watch, where he's, lording over someone, especially Marla. Like that was a very, it was a very, not an awkward or cringy, but a very kind of testing scene to watch. Watching something like that, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, if it makes you feel, then Ricardo Montalban is doing his job. His job, I'm sure the direction that he was given by Daniels was, hey, this is a conqueror in the vein of Napoleon and Hitler and things of that nature. Now again, I've often heard the comparison just kind of in conversation where people say, oh, Khan was as bad as Hitler. And, that I don't know. I don't know like what atrocities Khan actually performed. I can assume if there's a relationship between him and Hitler, there has to be some type of like, genocidal kind of link. I don't know that though. I don't know the history of the eugenics war other than what literally I just saw with Space Seed. I just know that he conquered a lot of the planet. I knew that from, Wrath of Khan and the talk that they gave there. But it's, regardless, I don't think we need to know that. We don't need to know the specifics. We need to know that Khan is like, Leif Erikson, Napoleon. So these are all conquerors. These are all military people. Hitler was not used, as a comparison for him. So, I'm going by what they said here in the original series. So he's a conqueror who is willing to, create a country and carve it from blood, basically. He's obviously not scared of conflict, but it's that very nature, and it's the very charisma that I spoke about before that Ricardo Montalban brings to this. He's incredibly engaging, these snaps into this kind of moments of mania that he has, these moments of like, razored aggression, are just, it's such a good reflection. It's honestly, when I think about it and I think about the performance that he gives, the reprisal in Wrath of Khan, I'm really amazed by how well he translated it and evolved it and kept it uniform between Space Seed and then. That is a huge amount of time to be away from a character and then be able to kind of jump back into the same mindset and jump back into the same kind of progression of the character growth that we see in Wrath of Khan. It's exceptional. It's so well done. And it really too, I think the major thing here is obviously Ricardo Montalban's performance as Khan was engaging, charismatic, trying, tense. Almost you almost had a revulsion at some point where you looked at it and were like, oh my God, what is this guy doing? It was amazing though, because you were presented with this villain in Khan, who, the antagonist, if you don't want to call him a villain, who is vastly superior to everyone and knows it, and unfortunately that in and of itself is his weakness, that superiority that they exploit in Wrath of Khan and here. It's weird because in the moment, it almost looks like he's effectively seducing Marla. Lieutenant MacGyver's as being, he sees an attraction that she has, whether it's because of occupation or actual, physicality, or she's just always, loved her some Khan, from her studies. But he was able to exploit that. But then at the end, he is very almost gentle when he says, it's going to be very difficult. It'll be a struggle to even survive initially. And she goes, I'd like to go with him. And she goes, a superior woman, so it showed the range, and you're not sure what was the real Khan. Obviously, those moments where he gets very aggressive, that's him. That's not part of his character, but that's him out of control. And you could see where he reeled that back in the initial conversation when he realized that Kirk was probing him for those types of responses. And he admired that. Excellent, excellent. He could see where he stood, or kind of got a measure for his opponent at that point. And I think that promise of opposition that he had in Jim, especially at the end, where he wasn't fighting, came in with Marla for the court martial or the hearing. There was definitely a measure of respect from Khan to Kirk. He was bested. He was beaten. And Khan probably has a pretty damn good record of victory over defeat. And for Kirk to beat him, that had to set that spark, that we'll see in Wrath of Khan, that blame that eventually the destruction of SETI Alpha 5 and or SETI Alpha, was it 6, that causes the, problems, the Armageddon on SETI Alpha 5. Really, really well done stuff as far as establishing why there would be such hatred from Khan to Kirk, in addition to a rivalry. It's almost like, the rivalry got him 90% of the way there, and the Armageddon or the apocalypse that followed is what really turned him into Ahab and Kirk being his white whale. Oh my God, it was just so well done. Now, okay, so Ricardo Montalban was awesome. We can say that. Excellent performances across the way. I'm going to go with this, though. Was William Shatner good? Absolutely. Portrayed him very well. A worthy opponent, a worthy adversary for Khan. Kirk and Spock were able to, like they do in Wrath of Khan, they were able to figure out a workaround. They were able to get things going, and Scotty helped out a bunch there. But you all know what I'm going to say. For me, that moment of defiance that Uhura gave to one of Khan's underlings, even after he backhands her, she snaps her head around and just stares at him. That moment, so well done by Nichelle Nichols, by the director, whoever set the shot that way, have her seated and hit and then turned and looking up, but with that defiance. I love that. It shows us so much about Uhura's character, who really hasn't had a chance to do anything other than, give us, being a very vital part of the crew. But outside of the comms desk or the comms station, she hasn't had a chance to really kind of stretch. We had incredible moments with her in the cafeteria singing, which were, obviously major moments from the series. I look so forward to more moments with Uhura, because Nichelle Nichols is a force, and to be able to bring her online and kind of put Uhura into the field, we got a glimpse of that in this one. And we got a glimpse of that incredible strength that Nichelle Nichols has just in that gaze. Oh my gosh. I couldn't, that moment, which could have gone on, obviously you have someone striking somebody else, in a position of, strength versus weakness, as far as a captor versus a prisoner. But it flipped. It flipped in that moment where she was able to she seized back the power. He hit her and she turned around with that gaze like, fuck you. What else do you have? And that guy stopped for a second. The reaction shot from the actor was great too. It's a pullback, which was amazing. It's perceived strength in the slap versus factual strength in Uhura via Nichelle Nichols. I love that type of stuff. Not defiance for defiance sake. Not, it's about the character. It's not about the act, or whether politically it's something like that. For me, it shows us about this character of Uhura that we haven't had a chance to see. And showing this gives us so much about who is Uhura and her ability to just seized it, grabbed it right back from him. Oh, you hit me? Fine. Boom. The gaze, not an ounce of fear in it. My friends, that to me is the very textbook definition of a hero. I love that moment. Best moment I've seen. Definitely the best Uhura moment we've seen so far. But that was one of my if I had a pick of a top 5 moments of anybody in this show so far, that is on there. Great, great stuff. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, my friends, you know what? I want to save a couple of the comments for Q&A because I want to look into a few things before I bring them up. I'm really curious about how Shatner and Ricardo Montalban got along. Here's why I say that. I want to know how their relationship was because I mean, I'm not trying to throw Bill Shatner under the bus here, but we've had a couple guest stars who have not been not been real pleased with Bill Shatner for whatever reason. It's never really been explained, other than, I think of the governor guy who was there for the Galileo 7. That guest starring actor, would just said he did not get along with Kirk or with Shatner, and we've had that a couple other times. With the one that played the female android in What Are Little Girls Made Of? She had a kind of a weird thing with Kirk too. Not a, it just they didn't really mesh real well. Nothing nefarious. It's just they kind of a conflict of personalities. I'm really curious to see how Ricardo Montalban and Bill Shatner got along for this reason. Was it really a choice? Was it? I mean, obviously, in Wrath of Khan, the product of having them on the Reliant bridge with Khan and the Enterprise bridge with Kirk is definitely fits. There's no real reason for them to be in the same space. I'm wondering though if it was kind of an assumed, let's just keep these two guys away from each other. I'm very curious. I hope not. I hope they were fast friends, but who knows? Who knows? Friends, if you do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and you'll be alerted next time we go live on YouTube with any of our Star Trek offerings, any of our sci-fi, anything. You'll be made aware. And of course, if you'd like those early, link to the Patreon is in the description. And if you'd like to get these episodes about 24 hours early, join our YouTube memberships below. There we have our kind of exclusive episodes with like the Expanse case files and soon to come Star Trek personnel files, where I go through each one of the kind of crew, see what we've learned so far, and see if there's any interesting tidbits about them going forward. But my friends, all that is then and this is now. And now I have some questions that I can't answer. The only person that possibly could is Q. Q? Greetings, mon capitans, and welcome to another installment of Q&A. Friends, here's where, after having watched a Star Trek The Original Series episode, I like to go back and kind of find some fun facts and some behind-the-scenes content that if I had known it before watching the video or watching the show, probably would have ruined a few things for me. So what we like to do here is I like to try to collect as many little bits of trivia as I can, things that I didn't know anything about, and if maybe one of those is something that you didn't know about, then Q and I have done our jobs. My friends, we have 5 distinct little categories that we go through for Q&A. 1, the writers and directors. Who are they? 2, our guest stars. Who are they? 3, our core cast. Who of the core cast, or what I call the Big Six, are there? The Big Six being Kirk, Spock, Bones, Uhura, Sulu, and Scotty. And then, of course, number 4, our production notes. What happened behind the scenes? What interesting, fun little bits of info can we uncover for Space Seed? And finally, my friends, it used to be syndication cuts for part 5, but now it is memorable quotes. And of course, I'll add syndication cuts if we have them in the future, but no mention of them for Space Seed. So let's get into it. All right, everyone, our first category, writer and director. Who were they? Our writer for this episode was Carrie Wilbur, our first-time writer for this episode, and talk about come out of the gate swinging with Space Seed. Nice job, Carrie. And then our director, none other than 5-time returning champion, Mark Daniels. Now our second section, guest stars. Who were they? Well, there was a lot of guest stars in the kind of vein of extras, and then of course we had some different kind of bridge crew personnel, but I decided instead of giving you all of those people, which they obviously contributed to the show, I wanted to narrow it down, the focus a little bit in this section, and give us our 2 main guest stars for Space Seed. The first of which was Madeline Rue, who starred as Marla MacGyvers, our triple-crossing lieutenant of 20th century history. And then, of course, the incomparable Ricardo Montalban as Khan Noonien Singh. What a performance. And now our third component to our little quintuplet of information we have here. This category is of the Big Six of our core cast who appeared. We had Kirk, we had Bones, we had Spock, we had Scotty, and we had Uhura. No Sulu in this one, which is a downer because I really love Sulu. He's my favorite character, kind of outside of Jim and Spock. I really, really enjoy everything that George Takei does, and I would have loved to have seen an interaction with Khan, or at least in the same room. It would have been really, really neat. The one that I wanted to mention here is someone who has not appeared yet, and we're going to have more about this character whenever we get down into production notes. But I just wanted to point out that even though we haven't had Chekhov yet, I would like to further kind of drill down and put a spotlight on the fact we haven't had Chekhov yet. Let's get back to that in one of the other categories. All right, my friends, and now we have production. What went on behind the scenes of Space Seed, and why is it interesting for us? Well, let's start off where I left off with the core cast, the Chekhov problem. We have a little continuity issue here that I'm sure you are all very aware of, that Chekhov is the one that basically finds the Botany Bay at the beginning of Wrath of Khan. Spoiler alert. But when Chekhov and Khan interact, and this is something I did not realize, Chekhov wasn't in Space Seed. He wasn't, I don't know where Chekhov's character comes from, to be very fair. So Chekhov could be a member of the crew right now that just isn't featured, and maybe that's how they bring him in. I think it's season 2 where Chekhov appears. But I don't know that. And if that's the case, that kind of explains it away then, that he was on board the Enterprise, but just not a featured cast member yet, or a featured crew member yet. But, it bears mentioning that whenever they get to SETI Alpha 5, Chekhov reacts, Botany Bay, oh no, like he knows about it. It was kind of established. Now, again, a recent run-in with Khan Noonien Singh would probably have hit the wire a little bit as far as the Federation Starfleet kind of, chit-chat. But, the rest of these people, with the exception of Marla, did not know who Khan was from right off the jump. It took some investigating, and the Botany Bay name didn't ping any kind of, notes or whatever for any of the crew members other than MacGyvers, who I'm sure knew the whole time who this was. But not only does Chekhov recognize the Botany Bay, but Khan recognizes Chekhov, which, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Mr. Chekhov is it. Okay, well, you never met him as far as we've seen. So that's the continuity problem. Now, they did explain it away by saying that there was a book that came out. But again, you all have told me that a lot of those books that are written are not canon. So I don't know where this stands, but I thought I'd give you this information. They said that there was a book that came out, The Rise and Fall of Khan Noonien Singh, Volume 2, I think is the title of the book. And in that book, it describes that Chekhov, as being a member of the Enterprise during Space Seed, and this is where I think that maybe that's how they're going to bring him into the fold, he led an incursion to retake engineering. And so Chekhov and Khan went face to face at that time, and that sort of explains away that continuity problem at the beginning of Wrath of Khan. I don't know what's correct. I don't know what's accepted. I thought I'd bring it to all of you so you can debate it or tell me, course correct me in the right direction. I would like to know, what is the official word on why Chekhov and Khan knew each other? Now, our next little bit of information, and Transporter Chief Kyle, he of Chicken Soup fame, one of my favorite kind of extras that's in there, appears, but this time without any dialogue. And apparently, any other time that Chief Kyle shows up, he's got something to say. And now our third little bit from production. This is one of my favorites. I think this is great. Ricardo Montalban, his Khan, shares a record with Barbara Anderson's Lenore from Conscience of the King as the guest stars with the most costume changes. I think that's the greatest. And it's never a repeat. It's 5 distinct costume pieces that all of them wear. And the reason of note of that is, for a guest star to come in and kind of warrant that level of attention means, one, they think very, very highly of both the actor and the character, and 2, they're not against spending a little bit of extra money to really focus the attention of the audience and say, this person is special. And I think they did so quite a bit. That yellow jacket, especially during the first dinner, very sharp, very sharp. Now, speaking of continuity errors, our next little bit of information is something that I did not notice during the actual watching of Space Seed. I was very spun up when we were watching, but this is something that was subtle but very profound. There's a continuity episode that whenever they're getting ready to beam over to the Botany Bay, and their transporter chief Kyle's there, and so is Scotty. And I was surprised because Scotty was behind the transporter controls and then broke off from the transporter controls and went over to stand on the pad to go over. And in fact, I think I even said, "Oh, Scotty's going over." But then whenever you see the activation of the transporter pad to kind of, energize them and send them over to the Botany Bay, the arm or the sleeve that we see doing that is cloaked in red, like Scotty's, and not like the blue jumpsuit that Kyle wears. And Kyle would obviously have been the one that was operating the transporter at that time. So a lot of people picked up on that one. I did not, I'll be very honest, but I think that's a really cool one to see because it speaks of a shot that was missed, apparently, and they used some stock footage to kind of filter it in there. And I think they said it was from it was stock footage from The Enemy Within. I think that's what they quoted as using the actual footage from The Enemy Within. And our second to last bit of information comes in the form of a returning character that almost made a third appearance on the Enterprise. And this was portrayed by Barbara Baldovin's Angela. If we remember Angela from both, of course, Balance of Terror, where she was to be married and her fiance lost his life, and then Shore Leave, infamously running into a tree at one point in Shore Leave. Now, again, just to recap, the character Angela in Balance of Terror and the character Angela in Shore Leave were not originally the same character, but when they realized that they had cast the same actress, they had to pivot for Shore Leave and make the character Angela. In fact, there is a kind of a misnomer at one point where the original name of Barbara Baldovin's character is used instead of Angela. Very similar thing happens in, or would have happened here in Space Seed, in that Barbara Baldwin played not only another version of Angela, I guess. This one was called Baker. Again, it probably switched up. This was the script that was recovered, said that her name was Baker. But in the scene that was filmed, I don't think they ever use her name. At least that's what I'm led to believe. So while it was a misprint, sort of, kind of the same thing that happened in Shore Leave, I don't think they ever kind of realized it in the actual scene. So, but she was to play this character, presumably, ultimately Angela, if they would ever have named her and whatnot. They were going to use Angela as the friend of Marla MacGyver's, a confidant, who would have helped to kind of steer her in the direction or away from Khan or act as a bit of a moral compass. I think I would have really have liked to have seen that actual deleted scene, but apparently segments of this scene still remain somewhere, unlike so many of the other deleted scenes that were lost to time. And our final little bit of fancy for our production notes, my friends, in Carrie Wilbur's original treatment, Khan Noonien Singh was not Khan Noonien Singh. He was a Nordic Superman named Harold Erickson. This evolved, and in the first draft, as Harold Erickson was kind of fleshed out throughout the script, they realized that this character was entirely too physical and entirely too brutal to be somebody that they had envisioned as the super soldier that took over the world at one point. And so they needed somebody that contained, or a character that had both the physicality and the mental acumen to be able to be this leader that they wanted them to be. Much more in the vein of Napoleon, they ultimately said, and not Leif Erikson. And so the original concept of the character, while this Nordic kind of barbarous Superman, was ultimately switched to it's easy to say, the more refined, more cerebral Khan, who, when push comes to shove, could be as brutal as he needed to be. And last but certainly not least, my friends, our quote section. What were some memorable quotes that came from this episode of Space Seed? There were a ton, and normally I only give one, but I had to go with two on this one simply because there's too much foreshadowing in the quotes that were given, especially at the end of Space Seed, which begs me, even though they say they had never had any intention of bringing the character of Khan back in the series, it certainly speaks of a foreshadowing, whether it was just lucky that they started saying these certain things, or if somebody somewhere, Gene Roddenberry or somebody, thought, This would be neat to go back in a little bit because there's so many. What if we go back in 100 years? What if we go back in 15 years? What if we blah, blah, blah? You know, there was a lot of that foreshadowing, but here are the quotes. This one is, of course, Kirk, who is defining what the statement that Khan made when he said, "Have you read your Milton, Captain?" Khan says, "It is better to rule in hell than serve in heaven." And then this one is the Spock, the most prophetic quote of the entire episode in my mind. "It would be interesting, Captain, to return to that world in 100 years and to learn what crop has sprung from the seed you planted today." Well, we all know it doesn't take 100 years, but boy, oh boy, that crop that comes through, I think you could say it's not corn, it's not potatoes, it's not peas, it's revenge. And my friends, thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until next time we meet, behave.